Welcome to LinkedUp, Breaking Boundaries in Education, a podcast that focuses on what is happening in education today, connecting everyone to the movers and shakers that are breaking boundaries in the education arena.
Well, hello, this is Jamie and Jerry and some guests, many new guests with our LinkedUp Breaking Boundaries in Education podcast. I am a dog lover. I had a dog for many years. He was definitely my therapy for sure. But now there's a wonderful trend that is happening where dogs are part of the student body, maybe part of the faculty, I guess. I don't know. I want to hear the perspectives here today. But we have some very, very fine guests. Jerry, and you are in one of our fine guests' school. Is it office, classroom? Tell us.
Yes, so we are coming to you live from Topeka, Kansas. We're in the elementary school counselor's office.
Okay.
And this place is going to the dogs, isn't it, girls?
Going to the dogs.
Going to the dogs. So I just want to tell you who my guests are today. This is Peyton, Hadley, and Sophie.
Hello,
And
ladies.
Miss Kemble, Hanna Kemble, who is the counselor here. And most of all, come here. Here, Piper. Our star of the show.
Yes.
Your girl is
Girl.
This is Piper.
Hey, Piper. Oh my goodness. And Hannah, we've had on the podcast before. Hannah is famously known as your beautiful daughter.
That is correct. She is my daughter. So
Guidance counselor extraordinaire.
And so we have the elementary perspective. And then from Chelsea, we're going to hear about therapy dogs in the high school. Chelsea, welcome. Where are you located?
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here. I'm in Monmouth County, New Jersey. So I teach in the high school along with my loyal pup Sully. He's a golden doodle, and so I'm a high school English and special education teacher. And Sully accompanies me and chooses to wander freely around the school. The students just love him. He is certainly more popular than I am by 100%.
Well, I can attest to that. Both of my daughters loved Sully for sure. They thought that was just the coolest thing. So anytime Sully made an appearance in a classroom, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. So we are so thrilled to have everyone. I want to start with the elementary perspective because we're lucky enough to have recipients of Piper being in that school. Tell us all about Piper, girls. Do you love Piper? When do you get to hang out with Piper? Give us the scoop, please.
Yes. Who wants to start? Sophie?
Sure.
Okay.
Piper is amazing because when we get to see her in counselor, she always we have a beanbag in her classroom and she always goes and takes a nap in the classroom.
Oh my gosh. So your guidance office is a classroom, or like, I guess it sounds like you have an experience in there instead of going and sitting in an office. I like that. And so Piper has this space. First of all, it's beautiful. I can see the purple wall. It seems like I would want to be in there every day. And Piper, it seems, enjoys it and feels quite comfortable taking snoozes in the middle of the school day. That's something we might have to address. We'll talk about that.
Right.
But who else wants to share a little bit about their experiences?
I have a specific question for Hadley, but Peyton, what do you think about Piper? Does she come to your classroom? Yeah, she does. And right before the show, Hadley was telling us, or telling me, because I didn't know about it, that she had what was it?
A what?
Piper parade.
Yeah.
What? What's a Piper parade?
We did a parade about Piper, about how nice she is and how we love her so much.
So where was the parade?
It was out on the blacktop. We did it at recess.
Oh, that is so nice because Piper makes a difference to you, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Is Piper like a friend?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost like a friend. Are there do any of you get to read to Piper, or what all does she
My first graders get to read to Piper. We haven't really done it so much this year as we did last year. We had several students that would come to the library on Wednesdays, and we kind of had an hour time block where they could read to her, but we haven't done that as much this year. I don't know why, just haven't. So,
Well, what kind of stories did Piper like to hear last year?
well, it was whatever their teacher sent them with, and that's all we would read.
So what I'm hearing is that not only is Piper in the counselor room with you, but also Piper goes into the classrooms. How does it get decided when and where Piper gets to go?
Well, Piper just goes wherever I go. Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually I have an office, but then I go to the classrooms for my counseling lessons. So Piper kind of does find a spot, like Sophie said, in all the different classrooms where she kind of moseys around, says hi to everybody, and then usually when I'm doing kind of the instructional piece of my lesson, she can become a little bit of a distraction. So it's best if she does go find a spot to lay down. So some places have bean bags. One of our classrooms has a papasan chair that she hops up in and curls up in.
Claims that chair. Yeah.
She just kind of makes herself at home.
Oh,
I love it. I love it. How old is Piper? Girls, do you know how old Piper is?
I think she's like 5 years old.
You're close. She's 4.
She's 4.
And she's
Okay.
been here how many years?
Since last year, I think.
2.
Yeah, 2 years she's been here. Yes.
Wow.
Make a difference, or does she?
She does.
Yeah.
She does. She definitely does. What does she do that makes a
Wow.
difference? What'd you say, Peyton?
What, honey?
Makes people happy.
Oh my gosh. I bet. I bet. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Anything else? Does Puppy like does Piper like tell jokes or, do funny things?
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Hadley? Though you had
Yes.
something you wanted to say.
Speak really loud too.
She likes when people hide her treats and then she finds them.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's a fun game to play with dogs. It was kind of like a little hunt for the treat. And so that's fun for everybody. Is Piper good at that? Oh, yeah. I'm sure wherever treats are, that's great.
She doesn't
That's
tell
great.
jokes, but she did pick the she was in the what do I want to say? She picked the basketball teams last year. We made her pause. We put in the brackets for the March Madness. We made her decide who was gonna win. She did pretty well at first and then not so good. So no jokes. Just
Oh,
pick basketball teams.
Yes.
oh, insider tips. I like that.
Treats. Speaking of finding her treats, the kids here at Indian Hills in the 4th grade have been making.
Oh yeah, we've been
Oh,
making
yes.
Oh, there's a media frenzy here. I heard. I saw the it was on the news. I got to see it.
On the news.
Yes. Piper saw the snuffle mat and came running. We have been making snuffle mats, and then we also have little cat
Wanna hold
toys that we
up
make
there
too.
so they can-
We have a group of kids. It started out with one of our students when we got Piper last year. He was obsessed with her. He loved her. He wanted to make her a dog house, a dog bed, a mailbox, you name it. And so his teacher that he works really closely with asked if we could make this actually happen. And I said, sure. So she and I wrote a grant and we got some funding for to do whatever we wanted. And it started out just for Piper, but it's kind of grown into doing more for the community. And so we make snuffle mats now. Because our grant funding has run out, we make them and then we sell. It's like a Tom's kind of thing. Buy one, we donate one, and then the funds just keep going to making more snuffle mats. So
And
it's
what's
just
the
something.
concept behind a snuffle mat?
So a snuffle mat is a great thing for canine enrichment,
Oh, yeah.
meaning that it really works their brains.
Okay.
So dogs, if they do a snuffle mat, I don't remember it's like some small number, like 6 minutes. It's the same thing for having them go run for like an hour. So it really,
Whoa.
and it wears them out. So it's a great thing for like a rainy day or if you're going to be gone for a long time. However, dogs do kind of nibble the snuffle mat. So it's a good thing to kind of watch them too. You don't want
Oh,
to.
yeah. Yeah. So I have a question then. How can people purchase one? Because I actually want to buy one for Sully, if that's okay. Do you think Sully would like that?
Yeah, people can just email me. My email address is KEMBL HAN@USD437.net. And I can give that to mom for the show notes or
We'll
whatever you
put
guys.
that in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm gonna buy
we've shipped them
like that.
basically all over campus and one to Wyoming.
So now
Wow.
we'll get one
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Well, I know our girls have other events to attend to. So any last words before our girls go?
Do you guys think all schools need a therapy dog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Sounds
we
like it.
will let our girls go to their next engagement, whatever that might be. And
Thank you, ladies.
on.
Thank you so much for joining, ladies. We appreciate your perspective here today.
Piper owes you a treat.
Yes.
All right. So, Chelsea, how old is Sully? How did you decide to bring this program to Shore Regional in New Jersey?
So Sully is currently 8 years old. When he was about 2, we had him in the training classes because as a puppy, we soon realized that he was a normal troublemaking dog at home, but anytime we took him to his behavior classes, he was the star student. He knew how to turn it on, put on a show. So we decided therapy work was right up his alley. He's got those soulful eyes. So while he was currently getting his certification, I was interviewing at Shore Regional High School. And one of the final questions at the end, after the classic interview process, the principal asked me what I like to do for fun. So I mentioned, my dream of working with Sully and children, and his eyes lit up because apparently Shore Regional had been trying to begin a therapy dog program, and they sort of were just missing the dog. So
Sully got you the job. Sully got you that job, huh?
yeah, I think that's the only reason I was hired. So Sir Deli Cordillo, he basically got the ball rolling and helped, write up all the paperwork for the Board of Education. We had some information meetings, and within maybe, I don't know, it was the second year I worked there, he started working as a therapy dog, and now, like I said, I think he's the only reason that they bring me back year after year.
Yeah. I doubt that. I doubt that. But that was really, so you started, actually, that was Sully's your pet. And then going through regular training, realized that would be a great, Sully would be a great therapy dog. And then you brought him to school. I love it. I love that. So is that the same trajectory that you and Piper had, Hannah, or something different?
My district has had therapy dogs for a long time. When I started out as a school counselor, that had always been a goal of mine. I knew that was something that I wanted to do because I have been a lifelong dog lover. I have loved dogs since, just a little kid. And I have seen how at one of my schools, I worked with one closely. We had an art teacher, and her dog was getting to where he was about to retire. And so there would be days where he would be a little stressed or overstimulated. So he would come hang out in my office because it was quieter than the classroom. And I just saw what a huge difference he made. And I knew, I'd always had that thought, but after working with Jack, I just knew that was something that I really wanted to do. And Piper kind of fell into my lap. She was rehomed to me. She always had a good home, but she was rehomed at the age of 1 because the people who had her, she was supposed to be a service dog, and then things didn't pan out, and she kind of got rehomed again to somebody else. And then the lady that gave her to me was kind of like, hey, you can have this dog for free as long as you promise to work towards this therapy dog path. And I was like, so
everything aligned.
She was like Sully too, where in dog class, she just rocked it. I mean, things that I'd look around the room and like, is she supposed to be this, with it? But their doodles are just such smart dogs. And they really like people. So and some are hypoallergenic. It kind of depends. So they're really well suited for schools.
Oh, right. That's a good point.
That was another really good fit for me. So she just kind of fell into my lap, and it was meant to be.
And they're both golden doodles, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's
Well,
so
you
funny.
both brought up the training, and I think that that's a really important point because as a principal, I had a school employee bring in a dog and say, this is a therapy dog. And the dog was all over the place. And I said, well, wait a minute. And I said, where are the credentials? And she said, oh, there are none. And that's what ruins it for everyone if you do that. So what training is involved? What do you have to have in order to have a therapy dog in schools?
In order to make sure Sully was, I guess, temperamentally ready, because he was, on the younger side, he was not two when we began the process. We actually decided to go through the American Kennel Club's Canine Good Citizen program because it's not a necessary credential, but I thought that basically it shows that they're just a well-behaved dog who listens to commands. So once he got through that certification, and one of the major things is they can't receive treats as part of like when you give commands, they have to listen to voice alone. And he's very treat oriented. So once he passed that, then I felt confident we could through the therapy training. So every state has their own organizations, but we went through Bright and Beautiful Therapy Dogs. And it's just a series of behavioral classes, but instead of behavioral training, they focus on simulations of different scenarios. So Sully in an elevator with another dog, but he wasn't allowed to greet the dog if I command him not to. They would simulate nursing homes with wheelchairs and walkers, a football game with fans cheering, basically a bunch of situations to determine whether their temperament would be correct for a variety of therapy scenarios. And he did very well. And at that point, we felt very confident he would do really well working with students in a school.
Right. I think that training's important because you never want to put any of the children or people at risk, and the dog needs to be safe as well. And so
Absolutely.
the training really helps prepare them for the experience. Hannah, was yours about
So
the
what
same?
about yours?
Similar but different. We did the CGC too. That was kind of like our first stepping stone. After we got through that, we made a plan of how we were going to train and get to the next part. We don't have in Kansas, there's really not a therapy dog program that will take your dog and train them. We have something in Topeka that's similar, but I ended up doing most of the training on my own. So we went through lots and lots of classes. And then after we passed the CGC, we did take a therapy dog prep course. And they do similar to what you said. They would bring in people in wheelchairs. They would bring in different dogs. They would do all kinds of things to help prepare you to pass the therapy dog test with whatever organization you go through. So we went through Alliance of Therapy Dogs, and they're awesome. I've had the best of luck with them because when you call them, they answer. When you email them, they email you right back. They're fantastic. And then the other part with Alliance of Therapy Dogs, why we went with them and tested through them, was because they partner with an insurance company, and that you just pay for your insurance for your dog liability for either way. If someone hurt the dog or if something really unfortunate happened, they provide you coverage. So we went through them. And then,
That's a good point. Yeah.
after that, my district requires that you are public access trained. So service dogs all have public access. They can go anywhere they want in the public. A professional therapy dog in the state of Kansas is the same way, so long as they have taken the public access test. So just like Chelsea said, we had to go to a mall and take this test where we rode in an elevator. We turned on the hand dryer in the bathroom to make sure they didn't, all these things that you don't think about. We had a lady drop, which I thought was awful because I love them. She dropped a Starbucks egg bite on the ground on purpose to make sure that my dog didn't eat it, and then they saw how she interacted with people because a mall is very busy. It's a lot like a school, people running, lots of noise, and just kind of testing to make sure that she wasn't nervous. And like Chelsea said, had the right temperament. So we approached people, hi, I'm taking this test. Would you pet my dog? And most people like, sure. And so after that, once you pass that, then we could go to like my board, and we have a whole district policy on what it takes to be a therapy dog. But there are a lot of hoops to jump through, and it took, I would say, over a year of training to get everything complete.
Okay. Was that about the same timeline that you experienced, Chelsea?
Yeah. And in addition to what Hannah said, as far as the Board of Education, we also had to make sure that the staff was comfortable with having a dog. So we had I sent out a survey to staff. We had an information session, and uh, colleagues were able to contact me like individually, and I would go and meet with them because there were some who had concerns, regarding, would this be a distraction? Maybe they had their own fear of dogs. They just worried about how things would be handled, regarding bathroom breaks for the dog. So, they just had a lot of logistical questions. So it was really important that we had the whole staff on board, because I co-teach classes. It's not always just me in a room. So I needed to make sure that, my teammates and the people in the hallways that are going to be seeing this dog, everyone was on the page, the same page. And luckily everyone fully supported it. There were no issues or concerns. And, you know, now at this point it seems funny, because he's such a staple in the school, but it's I think it's important that there's just buy-in from everybody involved.
That's a great point. And at the top of the show, we heard from little ones about how the dog is at school a kind of a friend. You can read to it, comes to class for counseling lessons.
Brings happiness, right?
And making people happy. Yes. Chelsea, how is a therapy dog used in a high school?
Very much the same. In fact, when I introduce students to the idea of the therapy dog and I give them permission slips on the first day of school, I tell them that he's not a service dog. He doesn't perform any, designated tasks. I tell them to think of him like a volunteer, and his only job is to make them happy. And I do tell the students that if you're not a dog lover, then just ignore him, because he can sniff out the kids who want him around, and he spends his time snuggled up to them. So, the non-dog students who have maybe a little trepidation, they just sort of keep to themselves. But I mean, without fail, every single year I get a handful of kids coming up to me at the end. I have never liked dogs, but I love Sully. um, yeah,
That's
I
so
mean, in the
nice.
high school, you probably see it in the elementary as well, but dogs and animals, they just bring out the most amazing sides of students. I've had kids who are very difficult, a lot of behavioral issues, and I'll see them just bend down and scratch them behind the ears and just whisper, "I love you," as they walk out the room. Like you see kids in a new light watching them interact with the dog, and it's just been such an incredible experience.
Wow, that's so incredible. I think also during, the past of coming out of a pandemic, we've all realized that we need some SEL in our lives. And I think that this is at the top of the list, I would say, in helping people to address some of the stress and some of the different types of feelings and things that we've encountered, maybe some trauma, of course, as well. So I would think that all of those different types of scenarios are addressed by having a therapy dog in the school. Now you are, by the way, congratulations, you are on maternity leave.
Thank
So
you.
congratulations. So I guess Sully is not there right now, right?
No, I tell the students he is on pup-ternity leave through the year. I don't think any of them had a strong reaction to me going out when I left in March, but once they realized that Sully would not be coming, that's when their shock and horror, were evident. They seemed to think he would be finding his way to school in my absence. But I promised them he'll be back again in the fall and they'll get to see him again. But no, he is currently on leave as well, so he's enjoying the lazy days at home.
I hear Hannah say that too. 30 years from now, the kids might not remember me, but they'll remember Piper.
Yes,
Right.
definitely.
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Have either of you had a situation in which the dog really made the difference, maybe where people couldn't?
Oh yeah.
Mm.
I've had a couple.
If you want to go first.
I've had a couple of instances. One is in grief. We are actually on our district's crisis team. And so when there is an emergent event or something really awful has happened, we go out, and there's several therapy dogs and handlers that go out too that are in our district. And that's the thing that the teachers and students both say make the biggest difference. I think partly we went out, we had unfortunately a couple of student deaths in our district. And we went out to be a part of that building and support them. And they loved when Piper came out. I think one, because she's calm and comforting. And then on the flip side, she's really silly too. So she brings a little bit of that joy and smile and humor that we wouldn't typically have on a day like that. So she brings in some pieces that, you know, we just can't provide to kids. So grief is a huge help. And actually we've had some things like that happen in our building too, where she just really connects with kids and they snuggle her, and it's awesome. I also have a student in particular that I'm thinking about that she's really made a difference with. He is very shy and he doesn't talk. And so very often he does, but not a lot. So when I go to classrooms, you know, if I have kids pick a partner, he always wants to pick Piper, and I let it happen. Like I just, okay, that's fine. So when we, you know, sometimes I'll say, whisper something to your partner. Well, he will hold up Piper's ear and he'll whisper in it. But I mean, like, you know, before he wouldn't even talk in class. And so this is where he's not only talking, but he's engaging. And like, he wrote a paper this year about how Piper is his best friend. And I mean, it just, you can really see how it makes a big difference, whether it's for a whole school or if it's for an individual student. They just really do things that we can't. They connect to kids and communicate with kids on a different level. And it's just something that we can't provide to everybody, but they can.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. Chelsea, how about you?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to echo what Hannah said, because Sully has been used in trauma situations in the school. The student assistance counselor knows that she can call him basically to come down whenever a student needs it. I've noticed some of the most telling differences in students with special needs, as Hannah probably has as well. Students who maybe don't respond well, or who are in the middle of, you know, like a sensory overload, sometimes just bringing Sully to talk to them, or they could talk to him. During lockdown situations, students find him very comforting when they're nervous. I had one student who was a, you know, chronic absentee problem, and she told me that she made sure she came to school on the days she knew Sully would be there, so her attendance improve. And most notably, one student was having a very difficult year. She was high functioning autism and started refusing to go to class. So we worked out an agreement with her that she and an aide who was with her would get to walk Sully to class. So she would come down, she would, you know, help put on his leash and walk with him. And she had no problem going to class again after that, for the remainder of the year. That was sort of the tradition. So it really has just made such a difference, because like Hannah said, you know, students who otherwise have trouble connecting with adults or with their peers, they can turn to Sully. He can be their partner. They could read to him, they could talk to him. And even at the high school level, they're not embarrassed to sit on the floor and snuggle with the dog. And it just makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Stories are so heartwarming about what dogs can do for people in general. So
It's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. You know, just to wrap up, I did read an article from Education Week. And it's funny because it's a do's and don'ts when having therapy dogs. And you all hit, I think, every one. They say don't focus on dog breeds, which I don't think you all really, neither of you focus on the breed. It just happened to work out. And I think it's interesting that they're both the same breed here. Do focus on dog temperament, which you both highlighted here. Don't bring a therapy dog into school without creating goals. And I know that Mr. D was in the process of creating this grant with the goals anyway. And your school, Hanna, your district already had goals in place, because this was already in place as well. Do designate a handler to monitor each dog's interactions with students, which you both do. Don't assume your school needs its own dog. So I don't really remember what that one said, but do find a great training program. You both went through, sounds like a lot of work to do so, and don't ignore student limits. And you both identified that. And even Chelsea, you also brought in the staff as well into that consideration. And then you both mentioned insurance coverage for the therapy dogs as well. So yeah, it looks like everyone's on the same page here. And I was really excited for this one because I mean, we haven't had our dog for a while, but I think I'm ready. Every time we pass a dog, I'm kind of have those love eyes going on. But I do know that my daughters enjoyed seeing Sully around school, and you both exemplified very well, and especially our three little guests that we had in the very beginning, how well that having a therapy dog in school makes such a huge difference.
And I just to conclude with a big thank you to both of them because I am Hannah's mom. I see how much work and effort goes into the dog, and she puts so much into it. And Chelsea, I'm sure you do the same. And so when these dogs show up at school, the people behind them are really working hard and putting in a lot of time, money, and hours to make sure that the dogs are good. So I just want to say thanks to all the people out there that have therapy dogs. And
kudos to all
for joining us today.
Yes. Can we have a last appearance from our pups here? Do you think you'll be able to get Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, I love it because I only get
Look at here. That. Can you get a pin?
Sully!
Sully, look.
Sully! Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, I got some good ones.
That is
I love it. And it's perfect the way you guys are all kind of like opposite.
Yes. Good girl.
Oh, well, oh yeah, that's a good picture too. Thank you all thank you, all four of you so much
Okay.
for joining us. This was such a
Thank you for having us. It's been our pleasure.
Thank you.
all right.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
Thank you for listening. And if you would like to stay linked up, be sure to follow us on Apple and Spotify and subscribe to us on YouTube.